I thought I'd do this short video on the Crescent Step and the use of the Crescent Step in Okinawan Karate. So when I was 15 years old, I was told by my first instructor that the reason we Crescent Step is to feel the ground. So it was Crescent Step to feel the ground, to make sure if there's anything there, we can sense it and then make sure we don't step there. Okay, as a 15-year-old, I completely bought that. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, to feel the ground. But as the years went on and I continued my training and I began taking a deeper look at things, I began to realize that this made no sense. Having been in a lot of actual fighting, combat situations, empty hand combat situations, I never once, when someone was trying to take my head off, concerned myself with feeling the ground as I stepped to close the distance with that individual. So I began looking at it and saying, well, what's the purpose of this Crescent Step? So again, you look to the principles. The principles are the body must be able to change direction at all time. This is taking right from the Kempo Gokui, the 8 poems of the fist, found in one version of the Bubishi, right? So the body must be able to change directions at all times. What does that mean? Well, what it means is, as I'm moving, if I just do this, if I just step forward, my weight's totally committed to one spot. Now again, in fighting, we're just going to move. We're not going to be thinking about all that. But again, we're talking about training the body to be able to move at a very high level. That's what we're talking about, okay? And we're not talking about it in the sport context. We're talking about it in the real fighting context. Karate's original intent as a life protection art. Okay, so I'm here. So as I step, right, as I step, at any time when I do this Crescent Step, whether it be forward or back, right, I can change direction. So if I begin to step here, I'm still able to change direction, right? If I begin to step here, I can change direction. If I just do this and just step forward, I'm committed. We call this in Chinese martial arts tossing, all right? So you're committed, now you can't change direction. Again, in a combat situation, this becomes dangerous, all right? So we want to be able to move where we're always in balance. A person's unbalance is the same as a weight, another thing found in the Kempo Gokui, all right? And we want to be able to change direction at all times. Not most of the times, not some of the times. Now again, combat's a funny thing. Chaos is involved. All kinds of things can happen. But what we want to do is we want to train our bodies to move at such a high level that we put the odds in our favor when we engage in that chaotic situation. So, several years ago, I'm on Okinawa. I'm doing the opening move for Fushushin no Kun, Bokata. Yosei Yoge is watching me, right? I do this and I do that. And he literally says, chotomate, Michael, wait a minute. No. You cannot, your foot cannot just go back because again, I'm overcommitted in one direction. So again, it has to be where you look at the head, see how the foot is moving? So I'm in balance. I'm not just falling back. And again, some of you may be thinking, oh, what's the big deal? Okay, continue to practice mediocre martial arts. Again, we're talking about reaching higher levels, all right? So, I have no problem, again, with some of these ideas for telling children, but I'm sorry, this idea that I'm feeling the ground, again, no. That's not the purpose of the Crescent Step. Again, look to the arts that are older than karate, see what they do, And these are the reasons why they are doing a crescent step. Now, again, some other reasons for doing a crescent step, quite simple. I could be evading. I'm bringing the foot over to evade the attack and move in. Not a problem, okay? I have no problem with that as a reason for doing the crescent step also. But again, this idea that when I'm being attacked, whether by a single individual, multiple opponents, that I'm going to have the time to feel the ground, and that's going to be a concern? No, no. That's a fantasy, okay? And I try not to live in the fantasy world. I try to live in the reality world, okay? So I just wanted to make this brief video to talk about the crescent step, which is an important training concept, okay? And it's something we should work on. And we should work on it that we don't move the whole body and come like this. We should talk about it where it's this. So there's not a lot of movement in my body. Now, the Chinese method is they use the heel. The heel goes out and creates the furrow. But what they don't do is they don't do this, okay? So they do this, and then they shift the weight. So same thing, we're here, right? And we step this way. So think about what I'm telling you, okay? You can do your own research and look into it yourself, which I highly recommend. But I'm just not in agreement with the idea that the reason we crescent step is to feel the floor and to know where we're stepping. It's just not happening. It's to create a totally balanced way of moving your body. So what do you think is more important? Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next video.